Hey guys, welcome to the new moon in Aries. We are starting a new cycle today. The astrological clock is resetting, and the energy that is present today in the chart of our new moon in Aries at the exact moment that the sun and the moon come into exact alignment. This is the energy that is actually going to be unfolding throughout the course of this entire astrological lunar cycle that will culminate on the new moon in Aries of 2023. So by looking at the energy present today at the moment of the new moon, we can get an idea of what this year might be like, what we might expect to unfold, and generally just sort of get a glance ahead at what might be coming at us. So without further ado, you guys, let's jump into the energy and see what we have going on for our new moon in Aries cycle that is starting today. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today is Friday, April 1st, 2022. My name is Aubrey, and this is your astrological outlook for the new moon in Aries, aka what we can expect to be unfolding throughout the course of this year. So an exciting day to do astrology, an exciting day to look at the astrology, a very fresh start in terms of the energetics. Like I said, this is really the reset of our astrological clocks when the sun and the moon come into exact alignment in the sign of Aries. Not to mention, it's also a new moon. It's a new moon cycle. It's a fresh start. It's our seed planting time as well. But really, this is the seed planting time of this entire year. Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. When the sun and the moon align in the first sign of the zodiac together, we have our first new moon of the year. This really kicks off the whole cycle. So that's where we're at today. Now let's talk about it. First of all, I'm going to start by saying there are really three distinct features of the chart and the energy that we have going on today that I am going to be looking at and that I feel like are really important in terms of understanding the context of what we have going on and what may perhaps be unfolding for us. Number one, the new moon itself is in sort of right in between Chiron, the master teacher healer archetype, and Mercury, the messenger planet, ruling our thoughts and our mind. So that is a significant conjunction that we will be talking about. Also, we have Mars right now, who's a very important planet considering that we are in an Aries cycle ruled by Mars. Whenever we have planets in a sign, specifically the moon, we need to look at what the ruler of that sign is doing, and it really just gives us more information about how this planet might be handling the energy that is going on in that sign, because the frequencies of that sign being ruled by Mars, we need to pay attention to what is going on with Mars. And Mars is in a tight conjunction with Saturn for our new moon. Now, these are both the great malefics in ancient astrology, and this is telling us a lot as well, and we will be talking about that. Also, one of the primary features of this entire 2022 year is a Neptune-Jupiter conjunction that is happening in the sky. This is a massive spiritual expansion that is coming at us and liberation from illusions and deceptions of the past. This aspect is actually also in a trine to the south node of the moon and a sextile to the north node. This is a very important aspect as well, and it is very present and prominent in our new moon chart today, as Jupiter and Neptune are in only a 2-degree off orb conjunction right now. So those are the main three aspects that we're going to be talking about today. We have Mercury wrapped up in things, Chiron, Mars, Saturn, Venus to an extent as well, and also Jupiter, Neptune, and the nodes of the moon, you guys, too. The nodes are being aspected by 4 of the planets that we're going to be talking about today. And the nodes, the north node of the moon, the south node of the moon, this brings up themes of destiny and karma, the past and the future, what we are moving on from because we've really gained a very good level of knowledge and experience and expertise in it, and what we need to release and let go in order so that we can go in a new direction, the north node, where the future is pulling us, our next lesson plan, our next phase of growth, the next evolutionary course of our soul. This is sort of what the North Node represents. And so there is definitely, and also karma. As I said, destiny and karma. So there is definitely these themes of destiny and karma very much wrapped up in this year as well. Not to mention, we are, as I've been talking about, if you've been following my channel for any length of time, we are in this 222 year, which, you know, the numerology associated with 222, the 222 angel number, just the sequences of twos, 222 breaking down into a 6 as well. This is really indicating to me on a numerological level. I mean, it also very much corresponds to the aspects and what's unfolding right now in our transition of ages, our entrance into the age of Aquarius. But this is also telling me that this year is really trying to align us with a vibration internally that allows us to attract and magnetize to ourselves opportunities, experiences, connections, relationships that really fit us on a very deep soul level and that really fill our cup and give us this profound sense of fulfillment and just joy in our experiences and the ability to really tap into our potential and feel very supported by the universe, our relationship to God, our relationship to divine, and the things that are falling into place in our life to really help us to embrace the value that we have within us, tap into the potential that we have within us, and really also begin to create and cultivate from that place moving forward in this new energy, especially with the North Node in Taurus right now. Again, also asking us to really tap into our true authentic potential and begin to create and cultivate things that are physical and tangible and that can provide us a sense of stability and safety and material security and abundance and pleasure and just things that can meet our needs in the physical material world. This North Node in Taurus, we're all sort of being asked to come back to basics in terms of how we're perceiving ourselves, what our gifts are, what our true authentic talents are, being able to tap and cultivate those and use them to create something that provides stability for ourselves as we move through this energy, which may be sort of a tumultuous year with some of the things that we have going on. But there is also this energy that is really trying to help us attract and magnetize to ourselves opportunities, situations, relationships, and partnerships that can really help us if we're navigating, any type of difficulties that may be coming at us as a result of some of these aspects that are going on as well. So let's go back to the top. Let's start with the new moon itself that is in the conjunction to both Chiron in Aries and also to Mercury in Aries. Now, we're talking about the new moon. This is the moon and this is the sun. The moon rules our emotions, our soul, our internal environment, what's really happening like deep within us. And the sun, this is our spirit and our consciousness and what really makes us feel alive and grow and thrive in this reality. And then we have Chiron, which is this wounded healer teacher archetype, okay? And then we have Mercury ruling our mind. So what this is telling me and our thoughts, our thought pattern, our conscious mind, our conscious awareness. So what this configuration of planets is really telling me, being in the sign of Aries. Aries, this is the sign of the pioneer. This is the sign of launching out onto something, being independent, being courageous, being assertive, not holding back, just very fiery energy. And so I am feeling like this alignment that we have going on. First of all, as I said, we have our consciousness, our spirit, and our soul, our emotions, and also our mind, what's going on inside of our head, like the way our thoughts are working, coming into this alignment in Aries. This is wanting to start something new, start something fresh. But Chiron is also there. And Chiron is this super powerful energy that really, can bring up our wounding, can bring up feelings of like a state of victimhood and stuff like that. But it's for the purpose of helping us to discover where we are wounded, where we have been wounded, how that's impacting us, really learn about what happened, and through that process of learning, be able to bring ourselves to a state of true healing and alchemizing these lower vibrations, these traumas, these pains, these states of victimhood into this much higher state of healing and ultimately mastery over that experience and over that circumstance, over that condition, which helps us break out of karmic patterns that we may have been kept in as a result of not being aware of how these traumas were truly impacting us. And once we go through this healing process and this process of integration and release and internal transmutation of these lower vibrations into these higher frequencies, we come into this place of self-mastery where we begin to actually be able to co-create our experiences with God and universe going forward based on this refined vibration and this self-mastery that we are operating out of. And through this process, we also go on to teach others and to guide others who are traveling a similar path through our experience. This is wisdom gained through experience that shines a light for others to follow that path as well. And I've been saying, as we are transitioning ages right now, as we are heading into the age of Aquarius, I've been feeling like this hero's journey, which is ruled by Chiron. And that is the process of gaining that wisdom and that understanding and being able to transmute and alchemize these states of victimhood into these states of self-mastery, and then be an example for others going along the same process. I've been saying for a while now that I was feeling like, this is a very important dynamic of the shift of the ages, of this energetic shift that's going on within the collective of humanity, which is actually bringing forth the age of Aquarius that we are heading into right now. Last year, 2021, new moon and Aries cycle, lunar cycle, astrological whole year lunar cycle was really like the fulcrum tipping point year in that process, sort of. And things, there was a lot of conscious breakthrough and dynamic, like sudden change that had to happen in that energy. But this year is much more about sort of surrendering to those changes and reaping the wisdom that we've gained. And again, going through this alchemization process internally. And I've been saying this hero's journey, I felt like, was a major part of this transitional process. And now we have this year 2022 coming in an exact 1 degree off orb conjunction to Chiron, ruling the hero's journey. And so this is telling me that this year we are really, being in the sign of Aries as well, being very self-motivated and taking some initiative, taking some action because of this alignment that we have going on between our mind, our soul, and our spirit, that is really pushing us to pursue and to launch off on this hero's journey. And this year is going to be a very, very healing year in a lot of ways. And we're really going to find ourselves overcoming very difficult challenges, things from the past that may have always held us back, that we thought we might never be able to overcome, or that we just didn't ever perceive, entering into phases of our life and experiences that we never thought could possibly be a reality for us. But what we're going to find as we go through this year is that we are just being called to heal on some very deep levels, and we're actually embracing it, and we are actually sort of jumping head first into this process, feeling like this soul calling and this spiritual calling, this calling from our spirit and our soul, and also our mind in alignment with that, helping us to really master our circumstances, master our experiences, master our own vibration, and come into this state of alignment with our higher selves. That is what this energy is pulling us towards this year, and that makes so much sense in terms of how this cosmic blueprint is unfolding and the path that we are traveling right now into the age of Aquarius, because that is the transition, that is the shift that is needed in order to really manifest and create this age of Aquarius through our own recalibration of the frequencies that we're holding within us. It is this wounded healer, teacher, master process, this healing journey, this hero's journey, where we really go on this journey to self-discovery as well. That's another way of referring to this. And through that process, really learn about the things that have wounded us and that have therefore altered our vibration and caused us to be perhaps trapped in maybe negative cycles of circumstances, feelings, behaviors, and events because of these subconscious or unconscious traumas that we may have experienced. And through this wisdom that we are gaining as we are heading into this age of Aquarius as well, this is an age of information, self-knowledge, self-empowerment through that knowledge, and therefore this mastery. They're really sort of one and the same, the age of Aquarius and this Chiron archetype. So I find it to be really magical that this is how the chart is lining up as we are entering into this 2022 year, because this really is saying this alignment, this mind, soul, and spirit alignment with this healing process, this healing journey, this journey into self-knowledge and self-mastery. That is what this year is going to bring us into. That is what we are growing into. That is what we are growing through. And that is what the experiences of this year are sort of encapsulating for us. Very interesting. Now, when we bring in the symbolism that's associated with the degree placement for the chart today, for the new moon itself and the position of the earth as well. If you guys watched my video yesterday, I talked about this in the chart because the planets were setting up. But I guess I probably should say, first of all, for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. And if you are not familiar with the Sabian symbols, what they are is a group of symbols that describe each and every one of the 360 degrees of the zodiac. Whenever we have a planet at a specific point, making an aspect, discharging a degree, we can look to the Sabian symbol of that degree, read the degree, and it just gives us more information, more clarity about perhaps what the dynamic of this aspect is in the context of this grand unfolding astrological story, astrological saga that is always and constantly and perpetually carrying us through time and space. And right now, of course, is carrying us right towards the age of Aquarius. So on my channel and as an astrologer, I'm also always referencing the Sabian symbols along with the aspects, because I do feel like they just give us more information in terms of the overall context of things. Now, because I read the Sabian symbols as well, you guys, I'm also always rounding up a degree when I'm reading the degree placements, because when we read the Sabian symbols, we read the energy wave that is incoming, that is pulling in, that is beginning to manifest and express now, instead of the wave of energy that is like dissipating and leaving and waning out. So when I'm talking about the degree placements for today or for any of my videos and any charts, I'm always rounding up a degree. So don't get confused if you're like looking at the chart simultaneous to when I'm doing this and you see a different degree placement, I'm rounding up because I'm reading the Sabian symbols. So disclaimer on my Sabian symbols. Now let's jump, they're not my Sabian symbols, on the Sabian symbols that I very fondly utilize. Now let's jump into what they actually are, what we have going on for the placement of the new moon itself today and the earth as well, which is always in a polar opposition to the sun and therefore also a polar opposition to the moon today as they are aligning exactly. Now, I will say though that this alignment is happening at exactly 11 degrees and 30 minutes of Aries and Libra. It's also happening at 2:24 a.m. Eastern Time, 6:24 Universal Time. So that's the exact time and the exact degree to the minute placement for this new moon activation today. But I'm looking at 12 degrees of Libra and Aries for these placements because, as I said, I'm rounding up a degree. I'm reading the incoming wave that's beginning of energy that's beginning to express and manifest. So we're looking at 12 Aries. That Sabian symbol is a flock of wild geese flying in formation. So, you know, with this symbol in effect, to me, this is talking about especially the presence of Mercury there, especially also the presence of Chiron there, some type of healing process that is going on within our mind this year, that is going on within our soul, that is going on within our spirit, is expanding our horizons, giving us a higher perspective, freeing us mentally to align with our true, authentic, organic purpose. These are wild geese. They're operating in accordance to their own natural law. And I feel like that is what this year is bringing us, is it is helping to liberate us to really align with and operate more in accordance with our own true natural self and the energy that is inherent within us, and really allow us to be free to express that, especially in terms of our thoughts, our perceptions, what we're focusing on, and the ability to be liberated to perceive reality from a higher perspective, from a bird's eye perspective, flying in formation. Now, I was saying also in my report yesterday, if you saw it, that this is sort of interesting to me because it's in formation, but if you put those two words together, it spells information, flying information. And I just feel like that is a sort of symbolic reference to the fact that I feel like there is going to be so much information coming in this year. I think we're going to be learning a lot. I mean, we have Jupiter and Neptune as well, which I'll talk about in a minute, together in the sign of Pisces. This is a massive conscious expansion, conscious awareness, spiritual expansion, spiritual awakening. And I feel like there is just going to be so much information coming in this year, flying back and forth, flying through the airwaves, very electric nature to the energy as well, with Mars being in Aquarius for this new moon in Aries this year. And we'll also talk about that in a minute. But I do feel like this is going to be a year where information is sort of becoming like we're really gaining a different relationship to how we're obtaining information, how we're viewing information. And I just feel like it's going to be a very busy year in terms of things that we're learning, information flying back and forth and stuff like that based on this specific degree placement for the new moon. And again, these wild geese, it's this liberation also in the way that we are utilizing, like, working with our mind, working with ideas, working with information as we move through this energy. Now, it's interesting as well, the dichotomy that we have going on here, because the earth today is at 12 degrees of Libra. That Sabian symbol in the earth, I look at this as sort of the status of things on the ground, what's happening on the ground in the midst of this energy. And that Sabian symbol is miners are emerging from a deep coal mine. And so, you know, on one hand, the position of the sun and the moon today, this soul and spirit alignment that we have going on, is talking about this liberation and thought and this heightened perspective and this alignment with the natural order, the natural path. And on the earth, the state of things on the ground, miners are emerging from a deep coal mine, emerging from the underworld, emerging from the depths, emerging from the darkness, emerging from the lack of clarity, lack of visibility, unable to see. And we're going from the depths under the ground, this deep coal mine, the darkness, to soaring in formation through the air, wild, totally liberated in terms of our minds. So, I feel like the degree placement of this new moon itself today and the position of what's happening on the ground is really talking about this exit from this dark night of the soul that we may have been going through, or this more underworld energy, or maybe being immersed in our own darkness, really gaining a better understanding of the own toxic dynamics of the inner workings within us and being able to release them and come back into the light. And not only the light, this whole new elevated perception, elevated perspective of things with these wild geese flying in formation, and also in a very free and liberated way. Very interesting how the placements of this new moon itself are playing out. So again, this is on its face value, just based on the position of the new moon today. I feel like this is talking about a mental and emotional alignment that is giving us the courage and the motivation, this Aries energy, to heal ourselves and to take this hero's journey this year, to launch off on this new journey, to take this step in this new direction of rising into our highest and our best, activating our potential, aligning with our higher selves, transmuting our senses of victimhood, any darker, lower vibrations that we're holding within us, into a state of elevated perception, elevated understanding, wisdom gained, and ultimately the self-mastery that is the linchpin, that is the most crucial part of this transitional process into this Aquarius energy that we're going through right now. So we are being set up for success this year, you guys. Chiron, it does trigger our wounds. If we are unaware, it can be a year where we are sort of being forced to face the things that have been hurting us, that maybe we haven't wanted to look at, or that we really haven't even realized were there. But it is for the purpose of gaining this awareness, gaining this very conscious awareness, the light of the sun, the moon, this mental, emotional, and spirit-based alignment in terms of what we need to heal. And we are going to be actively pursuing that this year with this moon in Aries. Okay, so now moving on, let's talk about the next big aspect that we have going on for this new moon today. Now, this aspect is actually not making aspect to the new moon itself, but it's very prominent, it's very significant, because again, we are talking about Mars, the ruler of the sign of Aries, where this new moon is occurring, in the sign of Aquarius right now, and in a very tight conjunction to Saturn. Now, also, just to bring it back for another second to this aspect that I'm talking about and that we have going on with the new moon itself, Mercury, Chiron, and the new moon in conjunction. I'm talking about this Chiron process, this hero's journey process is being very representative, very fundamental, and very important in terms of our energetic transition into this age of Aquarius, these age of Aquarian vibrations. Now, again, we're at this new moon in Aries. All these planets are in the sign of Aries. Mars, ruler of Aries, is where? Mars is in the sign of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, the vibrations, the frequencies that we are coming in. So this all is geared, you guys. Not only, does it match up, does it correspond in terms of what the energy is doing and what needs to be done in order to make this age of Aquarius shift happen, but Mars, ruler of Aries, is specifically talking about it. The point and the purpose of these new moon alignments has to do with the Aquarian archetype, the Aquarian age, and being able to come back into that place of true authenticity and the power that gives us, with Mars being there to really pursue our passions, cultivate our gifts, cultivate our potential, really look within ourselves and become sort of like the generators of our own success based on our own internal resources and our ability to tap into those and what they can provide for us in terms of a sense of fulfillment and of self-empowerment, not needing any type of external support or external validation to know that we are okay and to know that we can manifest and provide for ourselves the life and the security and the comfort and the abundance that we need, despite any challenges that might be happening happening on the greater world stage as we navigate this year. And, one by one, as each of us as individuals really taps into this and begins to create from our own true authentic identity, Mars being in the sign of Aquarius, this is how, we disconnect from the matrix. This is how we transition to the age of Aquarius, but this is also how we release ourselves from the material matrix of the past that is possibly really going to start crumbling in this energy this year as well. But let's talk about what's going on with Mars. Mars is in the sign of Aquarius. Mars is also in a conjunction, as I've mentioned, to Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. Now, this energy does a lot of different things. It can play out several different ways, but generally it can represent some type of hindrance or obstruction or limitation to our progress, to the action that we want to take, to the passion that we want to pursue, to what we want to initiate. And in the sign of Aquarius, this is definitely in regards to pursuing a path in alignment with our authentic truth and this conscious awakening that we are also gaining at this point in time. This energy is also, though, helping us to work to break through past limitations that have been keeping us back from aligning with this place of authenticity and tapping into this potential and pursuing our truths. But with Saturn in the conjunction of Mars, first of all, this is very much like pressure cooker energy. This can represent very repressed, like having to repress our anger or our ability to act or to move forward in some type of a way. This is some type of an obstruction or limitation to the progress that we want to make, to the direction that we want to go in. And, it could be representing something standing in the way to some extent this year of the progress that we want to make and that we want to take in terms of this healing journey. It may represent like some type of challenges and difficulties that we need to overcome. This energy is really testing our endurance, testing our resolve, testing our self-discipline, testing our self-control. That is a lot of what this particular aspect is going to be trying to teach us this year. Mars and Saturn, this is not an ability to express like anger and emotions in a very like flamboyant way. This is a much more, there's a lid on it. This energy is calling us to be self-disciplined, to be able to maintain our passion in the face of or in spite of very difficult challenges or rules or obstructions. This is definitely not energy today or this year where we want to be making very impulsive or rash actions towards pursuing something. In this energy, it is likely that if we do that, we will face some type of very like harsh discipline or come up against some type of strong clash of will or clash of power or some type of rule or regulation that is really trying to suppress us and hold us down. In this energy, we do much better sort of working in isolation or being more withdrawn or acting on our own in some type of a way. Definitely, this is not energy where we can expect our actions to be highly supported perhaps by like authority or people in charge or bosses. In fact, also this energy, it can bring up some real clashes between, like I said, like clashes of wills, clashes of power, clashes between older and younger generations as well is something that we could really see in this energy. It's like the older, more established, long-standing rules, regulations, authorities, ways of doing things really being challenged by some type of fresh, revolutionary, inspired, motivated, action-oriented warrior spirit that is coming in to try to break through that stagnation and make progress towards the future. This is happening in the sign of Aquarius, ruling the future. But I really do think at the end of the day, what this particular aspect is telling us in correspondence with the new moon's placement wedged in between Mercury and Chiron is that this hero's journey that we're going on this year, we shouldn't necessarily anticipate it being easy because anything that's easy is not as rewarding in the end. This is something that, I mean, Saturn really wants to have the real deal. Like, Saturn is the judge and the disciplinarian, the harsh teacher, but Saturn really wants to refine things and bring them to their strongest and their best and their most enduring and their most stable, and create this like ability to have something that really lasts a long time into the future. It's like, and with Mars there ruling Aries, while we have this alignment going on for the new moon in Aries as well, it's like whatever healing process that we're coming to right now is breaking us out of karmic cycles of the past and creating a new legacy for ourselves that is going to be carrying us forward into like far, far into the future. This is very, very hardcore cycle breaking energy. And this new journey, this hero's journey that we're launching out on this year, it's not going to be necessarily one that is easy and that is just, everything falls into place. This is set up to be more of a challenge to test us, but it is necessary because the rewards that we're gaining out of it in terms of the legacy that we are creating, the future generations that we are setting up, via the energetic like alignments that are happening through this process, the energetic shift, it's meant to serve the test of time. Like, it's meant to create these legacies. And so, it is creating these situations that we may have to struggle through and that we may have to endure and that may really test our resolve and everything that we have within us. But Mars is there. Mars is the conqueror. And this is in terms of Aquarius, the sign placement. And also, you guys, another aspect of this is that it is in a 2-degree off orb square to the north and the south nodes of the moon in Scorpio and Taurus. And so, again, the south node rules karma, the north node rules destiny, the south node rules the past, what we're releasing, what we're moving on from, what we're letting go of. The north node rules the future, the next phase of growth, our evolutionary process. And with this square in effect as well, I mean, squares also represent tension and conflict and challenges. Saturn also represents difficulty and tests us. And so, we are being tested this year in terms of our resolve, in terms of our courage, in terms of our strength, our willpower, our tenacity, our ability to rise to the occasion and to realize the value that will be like drawn from the experience that we gain, the lessons that we learn, the wisdom that we gain in this process. Again, going back to that Chiron archetype, this really is trying to help us to master our vibration, to master our experiences, and to break ourselves free from generational traumas and cycles from the past that have kept us in this state of not being able to align with our true and authentic path of growth. This Aquarius energy that is coming through as well. So Saturn and Mars in this alignment, you guys, it may be, a difficult path that we are traversing on our hero's journey, but the outcome, the reward, the success, the gratification, what we achieve in the end will be so worth it because we are setting the stage now for what will come generations moving forward throughout this next 2,000 years in the age of Aquarius. This is a very important process that we're going through right now, guys. We are clearing the decks. We are clearing the karma. We are wiping the slate clean for the generations that follow, and we are planting the seeds of what will be, and universe is making sure that we're doing it right. And that's why this is happening, and that's why we have this Saturn-Mars alignment and this Mercury-Chiron new moon alignment going on in the square to the nodes, talking about destiny and karma, breaking free from these karmic loops via these lessons, this wisdom that we're gaining, this strength that we're gaining, this healing process, this transcending our own difficulties, alchemizing our own vibration, ascending into our own higher self, our own state of self-mastery, and therefore being able to produce and to lay foundations and create legacies that really change everything about the dynamic of the reality that we've been existing in and really align with this rebirth process and this transcendence into this new age that we're moving into now. Really amazing, actually, how this blueprint is setting up. Now, I want to talk about the Sabian symbols associated with these planets for a minute. This is very interesting as well. We have Mars today at 20 degrees of Aquarius. That Sabian symbol is a large white dove bearing a message. This is a message of peace across any any way you slice this symbolism anywhere in the world, the large white dove bearing a message, this is a message of peace, and it's a large white dove. This is, a big message of peace. And we have Saturn today at 23 degrees of Aquarius, a big bear sitting down, waving all of its paws. So very interesting. We have Mars at a large white dove bearing a message, a large dove, right? And then we have Saturn at a big bear sitting down, waving all of its paws. So we have two large animals being represented. They're both engaged in actions. Saturn, a big bear sitting down, waving all of its paws. Remember, to me, Saturn, this is representing the old ways, the old world, the old established authorities and systems and governments and ways, rules, restrictions, ways of doing things, long established orders of power. Big bear sitting down, waving all of its paws. To me, this is talking about this old world energy not wanting to let go, sort of putting up a fight. Remember, I was talking about this energy could also represent sort of a clash of wills or a clash of powers coming in between a new order and an older order. And Mars would represent the new order. Mars represents the youthful warrior. Saturn represents like the old general. And Mars is at a large white dove bearing a message, and they're both in the sign of Aquarius, this breaking through into this new vibration, this new age. And I feel like, this is saying that the Mars energy, this more the more youthful aspect of things, the new energy that is coming in, trying to shake up the old established order of things, is actually doing so from this place of this recalibrated vibration, from a much greater alignment with this new Aquarian energy that is coming in right now. And Saturn, a big bear sitting down, waving all its paws, it's like the old world doesn't want to let go. It's like the older order, the older authority, the side of the wills or the power clashes that is holding on longer and putting up more resistance is the one from the past, is this old established order. And I feel like, again, this is talking about this clash of wills, Mars bringing this message of peace, this old established order resisting and waving all of the paws, signs of aggression. So again, I am thinking that, part of our lesson, part of our experience this year might be in terms of figuring out how to make peace in a situation where we are trying to move forward in something, we are trying to progress, we are trying to start something new, and there is something from the past or some rules or some regulations or some authorities that are clamping down on us, that are prohibiting our progress, that are putting up a fight to letting go in some type of a way. It seems like the dynamic of this energy is presenting. And then we bring in, like I said, this is in a square to the north and south node, and we bring in these Sabian symbols. We have the north node currently at 24 degrees of Taurus. That Sabian symbol is an Indian warrior riding fiercely, human scalps hanging from his belt. This is one of the more violent symbols in the Sabian symbols. And then the south node, we have at 24 degrees of Scorpio, crowds coming down the mountain to listen to one inspired man. So honestly, I feel like this is saying that in the context of these degree placements, in the context of the energetics that are presenting via the Sabian symbols, there may be some real ruthlessness that is being demonstrated in people's pursuits to get what they want this year and in this energy. But we have the south node at crowds coming down the mountain to listen to one inspired man. So I feel like this is actually saying we might be at a point where we are releasing the need to follow the crowd based on any type of sensational information or, somebody else's beliefs or something, because this is a position of the south node, what we are releasing, what we are moving away from, crowds coming down the mountain to listen to one inspired man. And the north node at Indian warriors riding fiercely, human scalps hanging from his belt. Now, again, this is a very graphic degree, but this is symbolism. So to me, this is really just talking about very assertively pursuing something, not being afraid to stand in your power, not being afraid to swing a sword if it needs to be swung on any given scenario. We are cutting ourselves away from the crowds, perhaps, with this going on. And ultimately, you guys, in the face of it all, with Mars at this degree, a large white dove bearing a message, again, this is another bird. This is the air element. This is the bird's eye view perspective. I really do feel like it's saying that we are gaining this sense of internal peace and higher perspective and the dove is also can be associated with love and surrender. And I feel like this is saying we are surrendering to that peace and that higher power. And we are sort of like waving the white flag in terms of things that we've been struggling and resisting against. And any type of fight that is going on, we're almost like not even participating in, or that is the lesson, as we are like ascending out of it, rising out of it, realizing that, if we focus on our own vibration and our own healing and remove the enemy inside of us, that the enemies outside of us are also going to fade away. I feel like that is really the bottom line message that is coming through with Saturn and Mars at these particular degrees. And also speaking about this sort of ruthless pursuit towards this future path, this future direction, which the chart is telling us is this hero's journey, is this inner alchemization, is this path from victimhood to self-mastery that we're going on this year. And we are also cutting ourselves away from perhaps the crowds or the groups or the influences of the past in this energy. So some more very powerful symbolism coming through in terms of the aspects. Now, the last aspect that I want to talk about today, you guys, for this chart is that ongoing conjunction that we have in the sky between Jupiter and Neptune. One of the major fundamentals of this year, this aspect is not yet exact. They are in a 2-degree orb off conjunction. Jupiter is at 22 degrees of Pisces today. Neptune is at 24 degrees of Pisces. And this conjunction is all, Jupiter expands things. Jupiter brings truth. Jupiter brings understanding. Jupiter brings that bird's eye view perspective. And Neptune is the planet that rules our spiritual connection, our spiritual calling, our ability to connect with the higher planes and the spiritual planes of reality. Neptune now also rules illusion and delusion and lack of clarity, confusion, seeing things through like rose-colored glasses, over idealizing things, and also running from, hiding, and evading reality. So these are all themes that we might see expanded this year. But with Jupiter, ruler of truth, in the sign of Pisces with Neptune, both of these planets are the rulers of Pisces. Jupiter is the ancient original ruler of Pisces. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. This is really representing a spiritual renaissance. These two planets haven't aligned together in the sign of Pisces since the late 1800s. And this is going to bring spiritual renaissance, a spiritual revolution, a conscious awakening, a spiritual awakening, a real resurgence of humanity interacting and understanding and learning the spiritual truth of this reality, which I do believe is one of the contributing factors to this flock of wild geese flying in formation, this elevated perspective, this higher viewpoint that we have going on with these two planets coming into this conjunction. This is also helping Neptune, also in its highest octaves, its highest frequencies, rules divine inspiration and unconditional love, high heart energy in an conjunction with Jupiter, with this energy being expanded based in the truths that we're discovering. And that is another very important part of our transitional process into the age of Aquarius, is being able to recalibrate our vibration with and in our heart with unconditional love, and rectify the heart frequency, the heart vibration that is within us, because that is what allows us to attract and magnetize to ourselves these experiences, these relationships, these opportunities that will bring us that true soul fulfillment. And it's also what helps us to manifest our dreams into reality in this paradigm. And that is the ultimate outcome, actually, of this hero's journey process. Aside from the self-mastery, the other aspect of that is this recalibrated heart frequency and vibration. And both of these, in combination, are what create the age of Aquarius and our ability to co-create with God and universe, and to really enter this age of enlightenment, this age of self-knowledge, self-empowerment, self-mastery, and co-creation that we are heading into right now, which is a return and heads us towards a return of this golden age energy, which is the ultimate trajectory, as this age of Aquarius progresses. This aspect, this Neptune and Jupiter conjunction right now for this new moon today, is also forming again an exact aspect to the north and the south nodes of the moon. We have this happening in the end of Pisces. Neptune is at 24 degrees of Pisces. Jupiter is at 22 degrees of Pisces. The south node right now is at 24 degrees of Scorpio. Both water signs, this exact trine. Whatever is happening with this conscious awareness, this conscious expansion, this conscious awakening, this spiritual awakening, is directly associated with helping us to release negative thought patterns, negative psychological complexes, negative attachments from the past, toxic attachments, things that we have been bound to based out of any sense of lack that we've had inside of us, or any sense of disconnection from spirit. This is really bringing our connection to spirit back online, which is increasing our faith, increasing our trust, and also our belief in ourselves and the value that we hold inside, and the ability to tap this potential and to really tap these inner resources and be able to create and cultivate this physical abundance and stability for ourselves. North Node in Taurus in the sextile to these two planets as well, that is also being represented by this 222 year. 2 is the number associated with this, with the sign of Taurus and the second house. This year wants to help us build and create abundance, fulfillment in our lives that can support us and really provide us some beautiful experiences moving forward in the face of the difficulty, in the face of the challenges as we are progressing on this hero's journey. That is sort of what this energy is wrapping up into. Now we have the placement of Jupiter today for this conjunction, for this new moon, 22 Pisces, a prophet bringing down the new law from Sinai. Again, this is the planet of expansion and truth. And I feel like Neptune at this degree today, or Jupiter at this degree today, is talking about this expanded spiritual truths, this alignment with the new laws of this new reality that are coming in right now, and gaining a conscious spiritual and expanded awareness and awakening to the truth of our reality going forward and throughout this entire year. We also have Neptune at 24 degrees of Pisces. This Sabian symbol is an inhabited island. I feel like these two symbols together are telling us that, you know, the new laws, the new information, the new wisdom that we're gaining, that we are learning to navigate within and operate under, have a lot to do with us realizing that we truly have all the resources within us that we need to sustain ourselves, to survive in the face of difficulty. South Node in Scorpio in the square to Mars and Saturn in Aquarius. There could be some real difficult, challenging experiences that we're navigating this year, especially in terms of finances, stability, material comfort, material security, resources, abundance, the things that just bring us pleasure and joy. And that is because, you know, well, we have Uranus and Taurus, and the North Node is going to be in conjunction with Uranus, and there's just a lot going on that represent that and the energy that could be unfolding this year as well. But on a personal level, for us, the way that we alleviate that, the way that we remedy that, is through going through this healing process, really getting in touch with ourselves, figuring out what resources we hold within us that we can tap into to create something for ourselves, to take some of the pressure off in one way or another in our physical lives, in our physical realities. Universe wants us to become much more self-reliant, much more self-sustaining, much more self-disciplined, self-motivated, and like self-efficient, like able to care for ourselves, and just resourceful, much more resourceful in this energy. Because as the external power sources, these old, long established systems of power and control begin to sort of crumble around us this year, which is also represented by this energy that we've been discussing, we are also going to need to start building something else up that we can rely on, that we can, you know, have to support us there as we unplug, as we disconnect from the matrix. So that is really what energy is helping us to do as well. And again, this hero's healing journey is all wrapped up in that as well, bringing us back in touch with the truth of our own authentic potential, the value that we hold inside of us that can be tapped to create something for ourselves in the midst of difficulties that we may also be facing in our external world. So again, with these two planets conjuncting at those specific degrees, I feel like it is really telling us that we are going to be coming to discover that we really truly do hold so much more within us, all the resources that we need to provide a stability for ourselves in the face of whatever challenges that we might be facing this year. So you guys, that is basically what I have to say for the report for our new moon in Aries today. One thing that I forgot to mention, I also wanted to tell the Sabian symbol of the degree of Mercury today, since it is in the conjunction with the new moon. Mercury is at 10 degrees of Aries. A teacher gives new symbolic forms to traditional images. So again, you know, when we add the context of Chiron, the wounded healer teacher, Chiron is the master, Chiron is the teacher. Saturn is also in the teacher in the conjunction with Mars. I feel like there are big time lessons coming at us this year, but this degree is also describing new, very much the Saturn-Mars dynamic, new symbolic forms to traditional images. we are recreating our reality this year. We are transmuting the old ways of being into these new ways of being. And there may be a real fight that's being put up by a strong resistance by the older ways, not wanting to let go. Saturn at that degree, a big bear sitting down, waving all of its paws. But at the end of the day, these new symbolic forms are coming. This, Mercury in the conjunction to the sun, we're seeing things differently from what we've learned, very much so by the end of this year. And it is from a much more higher elevated perspective, a place of wisdom gained through experience, a place of self-knowledge, self-understanding, and also a massive spiritual enlightenment, spiritual awakening, conscious awakening that is coming online as well. Ultimately, you guys, at the end of the day, this year and this day today too, April 1st, first day of April, lining up with the first day of the new moon in Aries cycle, we are healing on a conscious, emotional, and spiritual level. We are gaining a massive fusion of spiritual support, wisdom, understanding, and awakening that is helping us in this process. We are overcoming difficulties, challenges. We are persevering through them. And through that process, we are finding a strength in ourselves and a tenacity and an ability to endure that we didn't know that we had. And this is returning a sense of self-empowerment that is fueling our ability to tap into our inner value, our inner resources, and have the faith and the trust and the belief in ourselves to be able to create things of physical, produce physical things that can really help to support us in some way in the face of any difficulties that we may be facing, either externally in the world around us or in our personal experiences as we are navigating through this year. We also, one other thing I should mention that I didn't say yet is that we also have Saturn for this chart in an exact midpoint between Mars and Venus. This could also be some very karmic relationship lessons that are coming up. And this is also talking about really putting some very hard work into things that we are building, creating, producing. Because again, this is legacy building energy that we have going on right now. And anything that's easy is not going to be sustaining and rewarding in the end. So we have challenges that we're facing this year to bring us to our highest and our best so that what we're creating going forward is how it needs to be to endure the test of time and to create the chain reaction that needs to happen moving into the future. So you guys, that's basically what I have to say for the energy that we have going on for this new moon in Aries. I'm not going to do the tarot today because this report is already very long, but I am going to grab us a synchronicity card and see if there is some advice that God wants us to keep in mind as we go through the course of this year, just to, something that might be extra important for us to remember as we are navigating the challenges that we may be going through this year in the context of also this massive healing process that we are also, okay, there we go. We actually got two of them. And these are so perfect. Okay. The first synchronicity card that we have is dream, and the second one is sort your friends. What was I saying about the South Node being at that degree in Scorpio? We're distancing ourselves from the crowds and the associations and, maybe the things that we used to get caught up in of the past that had been taking us off of our path. So let's read sort your friends first. Sort your friends. He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind. Proverbs 11:29. Your house is your mind. Fill your mind only with thoughts of harmony, health, peace, joy, and goodwill. Likewise, choose only those friends who embody those same sorts of ideals. Having negative thoughts and negative friends is not the road you wish to take. Be discriminating. Sort out your thoughts and sort out your friends. You already know the answer to this. So I feel like this is saying this year, the people that we have around us, who we're associated with, and how we're thinking as a result of that is going to be very important in our ability to navigate whatever challenges we may be facing and also come through this healing process in the best possible way. We also have the card Dream, which is perfect for the energy this year with Neptune and Jupiter in conjunction and this 222 year, this miracle making energy that we also have. It says dream and shout for joy, all ye who are upright in heart. Psalms 32:11. Your biggest joy will be in the knowledge that you have overcome setbacks and disappointments. Be persistent, believe in your dreams, and continue going forward. God does not give us a dream without also giving us the means to attain in that dream. We are overcoming challenges this year, you guys. We are overcoming these difficulties. It's important who we're associating with. We want to make sure that we are attracting in and associating with these new connections that universe is trying to bring to us based on this new alignment and this person that we are recreating ourselves into, based on the person that we always originally were, but who we may have been denying or gotten pulled off course from being for quite a long period of time. And also, we need to keep the dream alive, and no matter the setbacks that we face, we need to rise to the occasion and we need to keep our eye on the prize. I've been saying that a lot lately, but we can't let anything pull us off course, disrupt our vibration. Even if we're facing challenges, even if we're facing disappointments, your biggest joy will be in the knowledge that you have overcome setbacks and disappointments. And again, that's what I was saying about the energy of this year. Anything that is priceless in value was not easily obtained. And that is what we're doing this year. That is why we have this Mars-Saturn aspect in effect for this new moon and these planets in Aries in the midst of this Chiron hero's journey, because the rewards that are to be reaped through the overcoming of these challenges, through the transmutation of this energy, for the transformation and the rebirth that we're going through this year are like, we can't even imagine the level of fulfillment that they can possibly bring us. And we just need to hold tight to our dreams and not let anything take us off course, because we are a flock of wild geese flying in formation this year. And we are emerging from the deep coal mines. So we're coming back into the light, and I do feel like at the end of this year, we are all going to be in a much, much, much better, more secure, more balanced, more whole, more healthy place, and ready to embody and align with these Aquarian frequencies and energetics. So you guys, that's what I have for my report today. Oh God, I'm sorry it was so long. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something valuable out of it. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think that they would be interested. Please leave me comments, you guys. I absolutely love your comments. Thank you guys so, so much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you. I have a Facebook page, an Instagram, a TikTok, and a website in my description box below if you're interested in any of that. And come back with me on Monday, you guys. We are going to be starting a whole new week of astrology energetics in our official 2022 astrological lunar year. So I will see you then. Have a beautiful weekend, everybody, and happy new moon in Aries. Bye, guys.